All right, guys. So obviously 2025 has been a huge year for Pokemon cards, with a ton of people either coming back to Pokemon collecting or getting into Pokemon collecting for the first time. And obviously we're wrapping up, like I said, what's been a pretty insane year and getting ready for 2026, which is shaping up to be, another crazy year. And I'm sure it'll have plenty of opportunities to get, into Pokemon card collecting and all that stuff. So in this video today, I wanted to go over, if you are somebody who's new, or maybe if you're even somebody who has a little bit of experience, but maybe you're not sure, exactly how things are looking in 2026, or maybe the best way to do stuff or whatever, we're going to be going over how you can start your Pokemon card collection or Pokemon card investing journey or whatever in 2026, and how things kind of work in the present day and in the present time. So step one is you definitely need to come up with a plan. You need to figure out, before you do anything, before you buy anything, before you get the money ready, before you get, a place to put all this stuff ready, whatever, you need to decide, what are you collecting? And also you're going to have to ask yourself some questions of, like, why are you collecting? Is your main goal to get certain cards, to have nostalgia from your childhood? You want to build, a collection like one you saw on YouTube or on Instagram or something like that? Do you want to make money? Are you going for the best long-term investments? Are you going for, whatever? You got to decide, what are you collecting? And in that question of what are you collecting, some of the main different options are going to be single, raw, ungraded cards, stuff like this Moonbreon here on the left, a very, very expensive, very highly sought after card, and even individual raw ungraded cards. They're going to fluctuate a ton. There's going to be tons of opportunities here to buy and sell stuff, to trade stuff, whatever. This is the way a lot of people go, and there are some advantages of these raw and ungraded cards. Obviously, there can be a little bit easier to store. You throw them in some sleeves, you throw them in binders, they don't necessarily take up as much space. You do have to worry a little bit, of course, about them getting damaged and them being stored properly and nothing happening to them or whatever. So yeah, that's also one option. Another way to go is people collect slab cards. Maybe you want to collect PSA 10s of a certain set or a certain Pokemon or whatever. Maybe you want to collect PSA 9s, getting them at a cheaper, better price range. Maybe you're able to find some value plays there or whatever. Again, slabs are, maybe a little bit bulkier than raw ungraded cards, but also you don't have to worry necessarily as much about the cards getting, destroyed or damaged or anything like that. And then, of course, you have sealed product, where that is the way that I go. I am a sealed product investor. I invest in a lot of ETBs, booster boxes, special promo boxes, stuff like that. That's the way that I go. And these generally are going to give you the best return and the best bang for your buck, and are going to be maybe the most profitable investments, but they're also very, very bulky. They take up a lot of space. I don't know. So there are definitely advantages and disadvantages to all different kinds of different collecting and investing, but you need to decide what your plan is, because I really think, especially starting off at the beginning, maybe years from now, you'll have your hand in all these different markets or whatever, but especially at the beginning, you want to become an expert of one sector. Do you want to become the expert of PSA cards? You want to become the expert of sealed product? You want to become the expert of whatever? You also have options of, like, do you want to go with modern or vintage or kind of that middle era? Do you want to do English? Do you want to do Japanese? There is definitely collectors and investors and experts in each of these areas. And if you take the time to become an expert on your area, you're going to figure out the right price ranges. You're going to figure out the right trends. You're going to figure out what a good value and a bad value and a good purchase and a bad price and all this different stuff is. But if you try learning everything at once, there is way too much stuff in the Pokemon world for you to become an expert on everything right off the bat. So choose your lane, choose what fits your situation, budget, everything the most, and what fits your goals the most, and what you're actually going to enjoy, because you want to have a good time doing this, obviously, as well. Now, the next part of your plan is, unfortunately, money is an object. Money is a thing. You need to know where the money is going to come from to fund this. Now, again, I generally recommend any kind of investing, collecting, anything like that, you want to be regularly putting money into this, because markets like this, the prices change and fluctuate all the time. And if you just try to put a little bit of money into it one time, you're not going to be able to build up the collection that you want. You're not going to be able to build up a meaningful collection. You're not going to be able to build up a meaningful portfolio that's going to have any kind of gains. But also, you might be buying in at a good or bad time, whatever. But if you are setting aside part of your paycheck, or you're wanting to put in a little bit of money per week or per month or per quarter, or a little bit of money per year or whatever, come up with a plan for, I'm going to put this much of each paycheck aside. I'm going to start, a side hustle or a second stream of income or a second job. And that money is going to go straight to, my Pokemon stuff so that my regular money can obviously pay my bills, my normal lifestyle, whatever. You need to figure that all out. Now, for me personally, again, if you want to have an idea, I set aside a part of each paycheck. So generally, every 2 weeks, I have some extra money that I'm either sometimes throwing into other investments or sometimes throwing into my Pokemon collection or whatever. But I have a set amount of money from each paycheck that goes into investments, collecting all that different stuff. So I'm able to regularly buy into these markets. So if there is good buying opportunities every couple of weeks, I can scour the markets, find out where I want to put my money the most, and that helps me grow my portfolios and my collection over time. But you need to have a plan, for the financial situation that's going to fit the best for you. And of course, also, I talked about this a little bit already. You need to have a storage plan as well. Again, everyone has different situations. You need to make sure, is your girlfriend, is your roommate, is your family, is your mom going to be okay with you taking up the whole house with boxes of Pokemon cards or boxes of ETBs or booster boxes? Do you have a small apartment, a small house? Do you have a small living situation? Do you have a giant basement that, you have all to yourself with room to have 1 million boxes full of everything everywhere that you want? But that is definitely something you need to keep in mind, because it can be really fun to buy this and buy that, and I love this and I want to own that and whatever, but eventually you start to accumulate a lot of stuff that takes up space. Pokemon cards are physical objects. They are going to take up room. You need to have a plan for how you're going to store all this stuff. Again, storing it safely, storing it efficiently, storing it in a way where you're going to be able to get stuff in and out, that you're going to know where stuff is, because again, if you want to buy, sell, trade, stuff might be moving in and out of your inventory, in and out of your collection. You also want to have ways to display your stuff, because part of the fun of collecting is actually getting to see the stuff that you've collected. These cards, these boxes, these packs, they are, works of art. A lot of times they are very, very beautiful stuff. And, people have favorite designers or favorite art styles, whatever. You want to have ways to actually be able to show off your stuff. So again, that's something you need to keep in mind. What are you going to buy? What are you going to collect? How are you going to store it and show it off in a way that's also going to work and fit the way of your lifestyle? Now, getting into how we are actually going to get cards. Now that you know what you want to buy, now that you know how you're going to get the money to buy it, now you know where you're going to store the stuff, how to get cards, where are the best places to go. Obviously, eBay is a very, very big place. I know eBay has done a lot of stuff, for pushing themselves more and more into the trading card space. Obviously, eBay has always been a good option for stuff like this. Obviously, with eBay, you do need to make sure you're going to reputable sellers that have, feedback and good reputation and stuff like that on their accounts. Obviously, some people are not going to know how to ship stuff, and stuff's going to get damaged. Obviously, some people are going to be putting out fake stuff and replicas and not having their listings be correct and stuff like that. So you do have to keep that in mind. But for the most part, for good verified sellers and stuff like that, you're going to be getting legitimate products and everything. So keep that in mind. Obviously, eBay has all kinds of different stuff. They have auctions. Potentially you can snipe stuff that just got listed for cheaper prices. eBay is just people out there listing their stuff. So you're going to find good prices, bad prices, everything in between. And again, if you're an expert on your area of the market, you're going to know what a good, a bad deal is. You're going to know, what stuff's supposed to look like, if stuff, is too good to be true, whatever. Of course, also you have TCG Player, one of the biggest Pokemon marketplaces in the world. Again, a great place to buy cards, to buy sealed product, to buy all kinds of different stuff. And then you have even places like Facebook Marketplace. Again, Facebook Marketplace, you're going to see collectors and shops and everything having their listings on there. But you're also going to find, the mom who is randomly selling off her kids' card supply as they, move off to college. And, you can find some good deals every once in a while as well. But again, all of these are going to have positives, negatives. Facebook, you're probably going to go meet up in person, so you might have to drive, you might have to travel, you have to, safety concerns, all that stuff. eBay, it's going to be obviously digital, and they're going to send it to you and ship it to you, but, you're probably going to be a little bit more competitive on the prices and stuff like that, since you're competing with everybody else in the whole world. I don't know. Like I said, there's pros and cons to all of these. I've bought cards all of these different ways, but those are definitely things to keep in mind and check them out. Obviously, retailers are another big one, but again, this is a lot of the things that we've seen. I just went to my Target the other day, and this is pretty similar to what my Target looked like, maybe even less Pokemon stuff. You have retailers like, Target, Walmart, Costco, Best Buy, whatever, that sell Pokemon cards, and one way to get cards and products can be going to these and buying them up. Now, Obviously, I'm not ever going to recommend that anyone be a scalper. These are these people that go and camp out and they buy 50, of a Pokemon product just with the goal of reselling it and making a profit. I'm not telling you that's what you should do at all. I actually recommend that's not what you should do. That is really, I think, kind of weird and scummy and whatever. These people who just kind of go and ransack the entire shelves, but whatever. It's a thing that people do. It's an option. But that's why retail is not necessarily always the best way. Now, hey, there's rumors that we're going to be getting a lot more, Pokemon card printing in 2026, so hopefully it'll be a lot easier to find stuff for retail prices and stuff on retail store shelves. But yeah, if you're ever grocery shopping or whatever, maybe you want to swing by the Pokemon card aisle and see what you can get. But I don't know, this hasn't, especially when the Pokemon collecting hobby has been in more popular times, retail has not necessarily been the best way to go about getting your cards. So sometimes it can just be a waste of time, or sometimes there's only the least of the least desirable stuff that's sitting on the shelves. But I mean, we also have seen some pretty insane stuff sitting on the shelves over the past couple of years as well. So I don't know. This is something to keep in mind. Obviously, you can get cards from retailers as well. And then, of course, you have card shows, you have, card shops, you have everything like that. And these can be really, really cool because, you can go out and meet people, you can, meet people who have the same interests, hobbies, everything. You can create some really, really cool relationships. If you start to, have people that you do build relationships with, sometimes I'm sure you can get deals. You can get better prices. You can buy stuff in bulk. You can, get trades done. You can get all these things done. So I do recommend, especially for people who are really passionate and really enjoy this stuff, to go to card shops, go to card shows, check stuff out, talk to people. Now, obviously, you do need to be careful because sometimes there'll be, people who try to take advantage of people who have stuff at really bad prices. So make sure you're educated on the market and prices and everything like that. But, I think there's some really, really good experiences to be had out there as well. So that's kind of the main ways to get a bunch of cards as well. And then, of course, the final question is going to be always, how the heck do you know what to buy and what are going to be the best things to buy and what's going to go up in the long term? Now, this is going to be very, very hard. This is the most difficult question. Nobody has the answers here. Again, if we all knew what was going to be the best stuff to buy and what all was going to go up in the future, we would already be millionaires. We would already be all invested in the best stuff. But some of the best tools that I use for, tracking prices and looking at charts and trying to figure out trends, because I do think, people always say like, hey, past performance doesn't indicate future results or anything like that, but past performance and past data is one of the biggest and best things we have to go off of. So looking in the past on charts on, I believe it's called pricecharting.com, you can look and see, what stuff has done in the past. And if you go and find old, trends and data and stuff like that, it's possible that history could repeat itself in the future, and the future might look a lot like the past, and there could be some trends that you could figure out and spot for what things are going to go up in the future. Also, you can look at PSA pop reports. This is going to show us, how much of each card is getting graded, how many of these cards out there actually exist. Again, you want to be careful not investing or not, if investing and making money is your main goal, you want to be careful about not investing in stuff that's oversaturated, that's oversupplied, that has too much supply and not enough demand. Also, you have, subreddits like the Poke Investing subreddit, you have YouTube channels, you have Twitter, Discord, you can get involved in these communities. Everyone's going to have an idea, of what the best investment is, what the best ways to spot the biggest plays in the market and all that stuff are. But yeah, there's tons of opportunities out there. So again, you need to come up with a plan. You need to figure out what you want to buy, how you're going to buy it, and then go out and do it. And then again, slowly but surely, it's going to take time, but this is how you can build up a Pokemon card collection in 2026. You're going to start out with one product, one card, one whatever, or maybe a handful of them. But then as they'll go up and down in price, maybe you'll sell some off, maybe you'll make some profit, maybe you'll be able to reinvest that profit, maybe you'll get, your new paycheck coming in, you'll be able to buy some more stuff. Again, you do it slowly but surely. Nobody's collection, nobody's portfolio, nobody's, insane Pokemon business or whatever has been built in a day, a week, a month. Like, this thing takes time, but slowly, if you accumulate, if you find cool stuff, if you get the stuff you like, get the stuff you want in an efficient manner that makes sense, if you come up with a plan and execute that plan over the course of months or years or whatever, eventually at one point you're going to have a pretty sick collection, and you're going to reach a lot of your goals and stuff like that. So I hope you have big goals for 2026, and I hope it ends up being a great year for all of us. I'm definitely going to be continuing to check in, continue to grow my collection, continuing to give updates and stuff on this channel, and we'll have to see what happens from here. But this is how I think you can become a very, very successful Pokemon collector or investor in 2026. Pretty much it was video today, guys. Hopefully I catch you in the next one. Until then.